During a family vacation, my mother snatched my purse and said, "We'll be using your credit card for this trip." I smiled and said, "Then you'll love this message from the bank." She started screaming when she read it. That was the moment I knew this trip was about to go sideways. My mother standing in the middle of the airport terminal clutching my purse like she had just won the lottery. She had that smug look on her face. The same one she always had when she thought she was getting her way. "We'll be using your credit card for this trip," she said, grinning like she had just pulled off the heist of the century. I smiled so wide it probably unsettled her, and then I pulled out my phone, tapped my banking app, and turned the screen toward her. "Then you're going to love this message from the bank." Her expression shifted instantly. The color draining from her face as her eyes darted over the screen. And then she started screaming, but let me back up a little. I was raised in a... I wanted to say no. Every fiber of my being was screaming at me to say no, but I knew if I refused, I'd be painted as the selfish daughter who didn't care about her family, the guilt trips, the emotional manipulation, the constant phone calls. I knew exactly how it would play out, so I agreed, but on one condition. I would book my own flight and hotel room, no shared accommodations, no way for them to access my money. I was going, but I wasn't going to let them take advantage of me. My mother hated that. She pouted, she whined, but she eventually let it go, or so I thought. Fast forward to the airport. We had just landed, and I was already exhausted. I had spent the entire flight mentally preparing for whatever nonsense my mother was about to pull, and sure enough, as soon as we got to baggage claim, she made her move. She snatched my purse right out of my hands. "We'll be using your credit card for this trip," she said, all smug and triumphant. I didn't even flinch. I just smiled, pulled out my phone, and opened my banking app. Then I turned the screen to face her. Her eyes skimmed the message, then she read it again, and then she screamed. You see, I knew this was coming. I had learned years ago that my mother was relentless. She would pull stunts like this every chance she got, and I had spent a long time making sure she would never get another dime from me. A week before the trip, I called my bank and explained everything, the financial abuse, the manipulation, the lengths she would go to just to get access to my money. The bank rep was sympathetic, but more importantly, they were helpful. Together, we set up some very specific security measures.